Hello student, welcome back to the next session of your chapter 1 lesson Historiography. In the last session you have learned regarding the historiography, that is regarding the empirical method, what is the meaning of historiography, why we need expert to write regarding the history, tradition in historiography. Today we will be learning regarding the historian who try to bring the changes in writing history. So let us start.
Now, under the historiography, we will be learning the next subtopic, that is regarding the modern historiography. Modern historiography is different from traditional historiography with different principles or the ways. Basically, there are the four main characteristics of modern historiography. The first point is that this method begins with the formation of relevant questions which are asked in logical order. That means in traditional historiography, ancient communities all over the world use various means such as storytelling, singing songs. But now, in today's generation, we have to prove it. For example, if we just wanted to talk regarding the Mohenjo-daro civilization, we just can't believe on anybody's theory, whatever they have wrote regarding the Mohenjo-daro civilization. Maybe we have to ask relevant question based on that civilization by finding out the sites, by visiting that sites wherever they have done the excavation, going through the objects, or we have to ask some questions based on it, maybe when that civilization took place, how that civilization took place, or who have done that research, like that. So hence it is akin to scientific method. Second, these questions are anthropocentric, which means they center around man and his activities in ancient societies. History does not advocate any interrelation between divine and human action. That means we cannot connect regarding the God and the deeds made by the human being. Suppose now, if flood have taken place, we can't just say because flood have taken place only because of the God's curse. Because somewhere maybe the human being have done something, that's why the flood took place, because they have not taken the care of the environment. Here we can't just do the intervention of the God and the human being. Third point is that answers to these questions are based on reliable evidences and are presented in a logical order. That means suppose if we just wanted to prove our philosophy, we have to show the evidence on it. For example, if I'm just talking regarding the Mahatma Gandhi book or Lokman Tilak book, whatever the books they have written, I should have proof with me. That may be the books kept in library or their handwriting or the signature, whatever they have done with that book. And the last fourth characteristics is regarding the modern historiography. History presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of past human deeds. That means whatever the development human beings have made from the past till now, we can present with the help of the graph. For example, progress made by human being in different field, that may be in the political field or the social field or economic field, we can show with the help of the graph. So what you have learned under the modern historiography characteristics, first, that modern historiography begins with the relevant question with the scientific method. Second, it should be based on anthropocentric questions. Then third, we should prove evidence. When we are trying to prove our theory, we should have the evidence with us. And fourth, last, is that we can show the mankind journey with the help of the graph. It is said that the modern historiography with above characteristics has its roots in the ancient Greek historical writings. Okay. Second, history is originally a Greek term. Third point, Herodotus was the Greek historian of the 5th century, and that's why Herodotus is called as the father of history. And he wrote the book, The Histories, where he mentioned regarding the historical research. Now the third subtopic is regarding the development of scientific perspective in Europe and historiography. Till the 18th century CE, Europe had achieved a remarkable progress in the field of philosophy and science. That means earlier time also they have not given that much importance to history. And now also if you wanted to talk, if you just wanted to choose regarding any field, you will be giving more importance for science and maths than history. Second point is that scholars by then had come to believe in the possibility of studying the social and historical truths by applying scientific method. That means when we are trying to talk regarding the modern historiography, historians understand that they should give importance for the scientific method also while learning the historical truth. And now the philosophical discussions focused more and more on the objectivity in history and historiography. That means whenever they will be writing history, they should give more interest in the objectivity. Objectivity means whatever they have observed while writing history, they have to write regarding that. Prior to the 18th century, all European universities were interested only in the philosophical discourses revolving around divine phenomena. That means whatever the theory they used to prove in philosophy, they used to believe in their speech, or that may be by the divine phenomena. That means whatever had happened, that is only because of the God's miracle or the divine power. But now, however, gradually this scenario began to change. In 1737 CE, the Göttingen University was founded in Germany, and it had an independent department of history. Before the 17th century, there was not a separate or independent department of history. Later on, German universities became the centers of historical studies. Now also you will find out in any university, they will be having the different departments of their respective subjects. That means if history subject is there, they will be having the independent department of that subject, or science or maths. So like that, every universities will be having the independent department. Next subtopic is notable scholars. The contributions of many scholars are important in the development of historiography. Let us have a look at the contributions of the few notable scholars. The first and foremost scholar in modern historiography is René Descartes. René Descartes was a French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist. He insisted on verifying the reliability of historical documents by critically examining them. That means he told that whenever we'll be getting any document in our hand, we should not simply believe on that document, but at the same time we have to critically examine it first. According to him, we should never try to accept anything for true till all of doubts are excluded. That means if any doubt is there in our mind regarding the document which we collected in our hand, we should not directly believe on that. We should not keep trust on that. First we have to clear our doubts which is there in our mind, and then only we have to believe it as a true. The famous book wrote by René Descartes is Discourse on the Method, where he tried to write regarding the rules which people have to follow while doing the scientific research. Next scholar is Voltaire. Voltaire's original name was Franco-Marie Araud. He was a French writer, historian, and philosopher, famous for his wit, advocacy of freedom of speech. He opined that, along with the objective truth and chronology of the historical events, even we have to consider the social tradition, trade, economy, agriculture, etc., which is equally important in historiography. That means what? We have to consider the social conditions of the people, how they were living, doing trading business, their economy, how they brought the development in the fields of agriculture by using different tools. Even he gave rise to the thought that understanding all aspects of human life is important for history writing. And because of that, it is said that Voltaire was the founder of the modern historiography. Student, you can note down this point regarding the Voltaire. You can get this question either in fill in the blanks or short note. Now the third historian or the scholar is George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel was a German philosopher. He insisted that the historical reality should be presented in a logical manner. That means whenever we are trying to prove regarding history or write regarding history, we have to present in a logical way. That means there should be some logic behind that. According to him, the timeline of historical events was an indicator of progress. That means whenever we are trying to show regarding the progress of mankind, we show through the help of the timeline. But at the same time, he thought that presentation of history is bound to change over time as new evidence would come forth. That means if now new generation wanted to prove regarding their theory, they won't be proving it with the help of the timeline, but at the same time they will try to bring new evidence from it. With Hegel's philosophy, many scholars were convinced that historical methods were not of lesser quality. That means when we are trying to prove history, we don't have that much lesser quality with it. Means there are the different branches of history where we can prove or write regarding the history, though actually differed from scientific methods. Now the two famous book of Hegel was Encyclopedia of Philosophical Science and second Reason in History, where he tried to write regarding the history and his philosophy. Even Hegel tried to tell that grasping the meaning of any event happens in terms of two direct opposites. That means human mind cannot understand the true nature of that event without understanding the opposites. That means, for example, true or false, good or bad. In order to understand the true nature of a thing, one needs to know both true or false, similarly good or bad. This method of analysis, which is based on opposites, is known as the dialectics. So in this method, a theory is proposed at the beginning, which is called the thesis. Then another theory is proposed, which is contrary to the thesis. It is called the antithesis, I mean just opposite of it. And after thorough logical discussion, that means after discussing the thesis and antithesis, it is proposed, which includes the gist of both, I mean the combination of both, that is called as the synthesis. Now the fourth scholar is Leopold von Ranke. Historiography of the 19th century was greatly influenced by the thoughts of Leopold von Ranke of Berlin University. He was a German philosopher. He gave a lot of importance to the information gathered through original documents. That means whenever we are trying to collect any document, we have to handle with a lot of care. He also stated that all types of documents related with the historical event should be examined minutely with great care. He believed that it was possible to reach the historical truth with this method. And he criticized imaginative narration of historical events. That means those who are trying to write the history with their narration, with their imagination, he tried to criticize them. Even he influenced historical writings of the 19th century. His two famous books are The Theory of Practice of History and The Secret of World History. Now the next scholar is Karl Marx. Karl Marx was a German philosopher. According to Karl Marx, history was not about the abstract ideas, means the imagination. It was about the living people. That means whenever we are trying to write regarding the history or talk regarding the history, we are not talking regarding the imaginative people. We are talking regarding the people, those who lived in that time. Human relationships are formed not only by the fundamental needs of the people and the ownership, but also by prevalent means of production to meet those. That means when people try to just live in the society, they have to depend on each other and whatever the means they used to produce that time. The accessibility to these means may not be same for different strata of the society. That means everybody won't be having the same lifestyle. The class which owns the means of production exploit the rest of the classes. That means here we can give the example of the French Revolution. There were basically the two classes, that is the high clergyman and the low people. That means the noble people used to always exploit the laborers or the workers, even Karl Marx tried to tell regarding his philosophy in the two aspects, that is the haves and haves not. Haves means those people, means rich people who have everything in their life, and has not means the laborers or the workers who are just suffered with the many problems. The uneven distribution of means of production in the society leads to this class struggle. And since the distribution of these means are not same, and which is not distributed equally to the people, because of that this class struggle takes place. There are the two famous books written by Karl Marx. One is Das Kapital and Communist Manifesto. Now there are the two new aspects arose in historiography. The first is regarding the annal school, and second is feminist historiography. At the onset of the 20th century, a new school of historiography arose in France, which is known as the annal school. Before that, you have learned regarding the Göttingen University. An idea was put forward that history is not just about the political events, kings, great leaders, wars, politics and diplomacy. That means we should not only write regarding the kings or the great leaders or regarding the wars or the battles which they fought, but at the same time we should consider regarding the climate during that time, the local people which was living, how they have just made development in bringing the agriculture, trade, technology, means of communication and social divisions and their collective psychology. The French historians were the pioneer of this annal school. Now next topic is feminist historiography. The restructuring of the history from the perspective of women is called feminist historiography. That means here they try to give importance for the woman in writing history. This thought was propounded by French feminist scholar Simone Beauvoir. Feminist historiography emphasized to include women in history and to rethink on the male-dominated perspective of history. Even this thing you have learned in 8th standard, where Tarabai Shinde tried to write in her book Stri Purush Tulna regarding the male, how they try to dominate on the woman. Later, many aspects of woman life became the focus of historical research, such as regarding the employment. That means they should get chance to do work outside. Then they should play a very important role in even to form a trade union in their family life. Earlier time, women were not getting chance to do work, to go out of their house. They have to look after their only kids. At the same time, they were not allowing to go to take education or to take any part in a political event. After 1990, women were portrayed as an independent class. Now we'll be learning the last historian in this lesson, that is regarding the Michel Foucault. He was a French historian of the 20th century. Michel Foucault wrote the book Archaeology of Knowledge, where he tried to argue that the prevailing practice of arranging historical events in a chronological order is not right. According to Foucault, whenever we are trying to write any event in a chronological way, that is not the proper way. He drew attention to the fact that archaeology does not strive to reach the ultimate historical truth, but attempts to explain various transitions in the past. That means whenever we are trying to do the archaeological excavation, history won't be getting that much only the truth. That means whatever the information they will be finding out while doing the excavation, that is not enough in the history. But at the same time, we have to see the changes which took place that time. For example, if we are trying to talk regarding the French Revolution, when French Revolution took place, that time whatever the changes took place because of the revolution, we have to even learn regarding that. Same way, if we just try to talk regarding the British invasion, when British ruled over India around 150 years, we always learn regarding the British, how they tried to exploit India, how they tried to rule India. in a different way. But at the same time, because of them, they brought the Western education. How the changes took place because of their education or because of their new methods, new technology, even we have to learn regarding that. Same way, Foucault felt that explaining the transition in history is more important. Foucault subjected that so far unacknowledged areas by historians such as psychological disorders. Psychological disorders means just learning regarding the different people, regarding their thinking. Then science of medicine, even how the changes took place in the field of medicine. Then prison administration, we can just give here the example of the people, those who are getting the punishment earlier time, which was very different from now, etc. in the historical analysis. Thus, the scope of historiography kept continuously expanding. Writing of histories of various subjects like literature, architecture, sculpture, drawing and painting, music, dance, drama, films and television, etc. came into practice, which we will be learning in detail regarding this in the next lesson. So today we have learned regarding the 4 notable scholars, among them 2 are the French historian and 2 are the German philosopher. Even we have learned regarding the modern historiography, regarding the Karl Marx, then Annales School, feminist historiography, and Michael Foucault. What I will prefer is that whenever you will be reading this lesson, just try to underline the objectives question.
So here is the end of the lesson. I hope you like this lesson. Before to solve the question answers, I want you people to just read this lesson at least twice or thrice. You can note down the point in your notebook. If you want to just read this lesson or if you want to understand this lesson, you can just go through this video. Stay safe. Thank you.